She gave her heart in every word she spoke. Every gesture she made said, I'm choosing you. And what did you give her in return? Silence, distance, confusion. Now you scroll through her pictures, wondering how someone who used to love you so loudly could vanish without a sound. But let me tell you something. When a woman stops explaining, stops arguing, and stops trying, stops tying, you lose her. There's a sense of loss to you, and you so desperately need to connect. The sense of loss to you, and you so desperately need to connect. But let me tell you something. When a woman stops loudly, it means she already left in her heart long before she left your life. She loved loudly, you responded quietly, and now you're alone. And maybe, just maybe, that's the lesson you needed to learn. A loud lover is a rare lover. She's the kind of woman who doesn't wait for the right moment to show love. She creates the moment. She doesn't say, I miss you once a week to keep the peace. She says it every time her heart feels it, even if that means 3 times a day. She's the one who texts you at 2 a.m. because she knows you're overthinking, overworking, or just over life. She's the one who doesn't just sit beside you. She leans in. She doesn't love from a distance. She loves up close, all in, no apologies. This kind of love isn't ordinary. It's not the passive, lukewarm, keep it cool love you see in most relationships. No. This kind of love is expressive, passionate, and sometimes overwhelming because it's real. Most people don't know how to handle real. They want love that doesn't require effort. But a loud lover, she's giving her all. Not because she's desperate, but because she believes in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. Let me tell you something real. In a world where people fake emotions for clout, where loyalty is rare and I love you is just 3 hollow words thrown around for convenience, a loud lover is a miracle walking around in human form. And if you were lucky enough to have one, you better believe you had something rare. She's the woman who plans little surprises, not for your birthday, but for no reason at all, just to make you smile. She's the one who remembers the way you like your coffee, the song you hum when you're deep in thought, the time of night when you get the most anxious, and the way your voice changes when you're pretending you're okay. She picks up on all of it, not because she's studying you, but because she cares deeply, widely, loudly. But here's the twist. Most men take that kind of love for granted. You think it'll always be there. You think you have time. You think she's too emotional, too intense, or too much. But the truth is, she's everything you've ever needed, and you were just too distracted to see it. While you were trying to be unbothered, she was trying to bother you with love. While you were trying to be hard to get, she was trying to make it easy to stay. Do you know how rare that is? A woman who chooses you over and over, even when you give her every reason not to. A woman who calls you out, not to criticize, but to remind you of who you are. A woman who doesn't wait for you to ask, because she's already doing for you what you wouldn't even do for yourself. You don't find that in dating apps. You don't find that in someone new. You don't recreate that with fake chemistry and shallow conversations. That kind of love, loud, vibrant, fearless, is once in a lifetime. And most don't recognize its value until it's gone. Until the good morning texts stop. Until her laughter fades from your voice notes. Until your phone goes silent. And so does your soul. She didn't love you quietly. She didn't hide behind pride. 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 She didn't play games. She showed up every damn day with her flaws, her wounds, her fears, and her heart wide open. That's not weakness. That's power. That's grace. That's the kind of love that could have healed you, that could have grown with you, that could have built something unbreakable. And you didn't even whisper back. Quiet responses are loud rejections. Don't let the silence fool you. It speaks. And it screams louder than words ever could. When someone loves you with intensity, with fire in their soul, and you respond with indifference, delay, or disinterest, you might think you're playing it cool. You might think you're being emotionally mature. But what you're really doing is sending a message. And that message is this: you don't matter enough for me to respond with effort. She asked how your day was. You said fine, and went back to scrolling. You're asking how your day was. You said fine, and went back to scrolling. She sent a long message pouring her heart out, and you left her on read. You saw her overthinking, questioning, wondering, and instead of reassuring her, you gave her space. Not healing space, empty space, void space, a space so hollow that it echoed with every doubt you failed to dissolve. Silence isn't peaceful when you're craving connection. Silence isn't mature when someone's bleeding love all over you, hoping you'll notice. It's not mysterious, it's not manly, it's not strength, it's avoidance. It's emotional cowardice dressed up as cool. You didn't just miss the moment, you rejected it. Think about this. Imagine a girl waiting for your reply after she's been vulnerable with you. Her phone is in her hand. She's refreshing the screen every few minutes. She rereads what she wrote 5 times just to make sure she didn't say too much. And what do? You wait. You pause. You ignore. You think, I'll reply when I feel like it. But what she hears is, you're not important right now. What she feels is, you're not priority. What she learns is, my love is louder than his care. That quietness becomes a rejection letter she never asked to read, but memorized anyway. Let's flip it. Have you ever spoken to someone and they smiled while texting someone else? That sting you felt? That pause? That ache? That's exactly what you did to her soul every time you kept her waiting for answers she never received. Every time you saw her typing and didn't even acknowledge the effort she made. That's what silence sounds like to someone who loves out loud. It's heartbreak in slow motion. You see, love doesn't always need grand gestures. Sometimes, love just needs acknowledgement, a reply, a thank you, a that meant a lot. Because love doesn't die all at once. It dies in delayed replies, in cold shoulders, in seen messages with no response. It dies in conversations that become one-sided, in energy that's never returned. People say communication is key, but the lack of communication, that's destruction. That's confusion. That's slow emotional suffocation. Don't underestimate the damage of your silence. Don't mistake your calm for kindness when someone is drowning in unspoken emotions. A woman doesn't leave because you shouted. Most of the time, she leaves because you never said anything at all. You might think, but I never told her to leave. You didn't have to. Your silence did it for you, loudly, every late response, every missed call you ignored, every moment she needed reassurance and you gave her quiet. That was a no. That was a rejection letter signed by your ego. and stamped by your distance. You thought being quiet kept the peace, but it created a war inside her, between staying and self-respect, between love and logic, between hoping and healing. You didn't have to raise your voice to push her away. You just had to lower your effort. You were focused on control. She was focused on connection. That's the difference between love that manipulates and love that heals. She wanted to build something real. You wanted to stay in control. She wasn't trying to trap you. She was trying to understand you. She wasn't asking for your entire life. She just wanted to be a part of it. But instead of opening the door, you built walls. You treated her questions as threats, her concern as clinginess, her affection as a weakness. And while you were out there trying to prove you didn't need anyone, she was trying to prove she'd never leave. You played games. You delayed responses, pulled away when things got too real, acted cold when she got too close. You thought that made you strong. You thought that made you alpha. But real strength doesn't lie in control. It lies in vulnerability. You were cracking. Impossible to heal. Real strength doesn't lie in control. It lies in vulnerability. That's when you learn that real strength lies in control. It lies in power. You learn that life is about suffering for the good of someone, the better to live your life. You learn that life is about suffering in honesty, in showing up even when you're scared. She showed up like that every single day. She laid her soul bare and you treated it like a liability. She just wanted connection. A moment where she could look at you and feel seen. A conversation that didn't have to be decoded. An embrace that said, I'm not going anywhere. But instead you gave her mixed signals and emotional chess moves. You wanted to win the game, but you lost the girl. Imagine this. She sends you a long message one night, not accusing you, not demanding, but just trying to express her heart. She's saying, I don't understand how we went from talking every day to feeling like strangers. She's not yelling. She's not attacking. She's just trying to connect. And what do? You go cold. You ghost. You tell her she's overreacting. That's not control. That's emotional sabotage. She wasn't asking for perfection. She was asking for presence. She didn't need you to be a hero. She needed you to be real. But you kept her guessing. You fed her breadcrumbs instead of truth. And the truth was, you were afraid. Afraid of losing control. Afraid of letting someone in who could see the broken parts of you. But guess what? She already saw them. And she still chose you. That's what connection is. It's not about showing the perfect version of yourself. It's about being brave enough to show the real one. And she gave you that space, that grace. She didn't walk in expecting you to be healed. She was ready to help you heal. But you pushed her away because your ego told you love equals weakness. But her love was the strongest thing in the room. You just didn't recognize it. You see, control feels safe at first. You call the shots. You hold the cards. You get to stay detached. But control is lonely. Control doesn't make space for connection. It strangles it. And she wasn't playing to control you. She was praying to connect with you. She wanted you to feel her love in your darkest moment, not just your brightest day. And that's what you misunderstood. She wasn't trying to invade your peace. She was trying to be your peace. She was trying to be your peace. She was trying to be your peace. So when you're hungry, then she wants to fix you. She was just trying to be your peace. She was trying to be your heart. She was trying to be your power. She wasn't asking for attention. She was offering alignment. She wasn't desperate. She was devoted. She wasn't chasing you. She was chasing the version of you she believed in. The one who'd stop hiding behind fear and start fighting for her. But instead of choosing connection, you clung to control. And by the time you realized love doesn't survive in a cage, she had already flown. Now you miss her loud, but she's silent. And that silence, it's not absence. It's power. It's clarity. It's the sound of someone who loved deeply, fought endlessly, and finally chose herself. You didn't hear her when she was loud. Now you're being crushed by the weight of her quiet. Now her name sits heavy in your chest. Her absence is louder than any argument she ever made. Now her silence is your karma. You used to roll your eyes when she got emotional. You called her too much when she just wanted to talk. You ignored the text that said, "I don't feel like I matter anymore." You gave her coldness when all she craved was warmth. She begged you, without begging, to just see her, to feel her presence, to meet her halfway. But you were too busy trying to prove you didn't need anyone. And now, that same silence you served her, it's echoing in your soul. You look at her pictures now, her smile, her glow. You wonder how she moved on so effortlessly. But what you don't see is the nights she cried on the bathroom floor, hiding her pain behind locked doors. The mornings she smiled through a broken heart just to keep you comfortable. You don't see the prayers she whispered when she was losing herself, trying to hold on to you. You don't see the version of her that stayed and stayed and stayed, even when your energy screamed, "Go!" Now you replay her voice in your head. The way she laughed at your dumbest jokes. The way she looked at you like you were more than enough, even when you were giving her less than bare minimum. You remember how she knew your moods before you said a word. How she cheered you on when no one else noticed your growth. She was there, fully there. And you? You were present, but never available. Now you send messages at midnight, staring at delivered, never seeing read. You write and erase paragraphs, wondering how she could go from being the girl who texted good morning religiously to the woman who doesn't reply at all. But that's what happens when someone gets tired of shouting love into a void. That's what happens when loud hearts go unanswered. They go silent not because they stopped caring, but because they've exhausted every way to prove it. You didn't think she'd leave. That's the part that stings the most. You thought she'd always wait. That no matter how distant, how careless, how unavailable you were, she'd always be one call away. But let me tell you this. When a woman like her goes quiet, it's not because she's out of love. It's because she's out of fight, out of hope, out of reasons to stay in a place where her worth is questioned. Now you're the one replaying memories like love songs on a broken radio. You're the one hoping she thinks about you when it rains. You're the one checking her status, her stories, her every move, looking for signs that she still cares. But she's not giving you signs anymore. She's giving you silence. And that silence, it speaks louder than every "I love you" she ever gave. It's not just the absence of sound. It's the presence of a decision to heal, to grow, to walk away with grace from the place where her love was mishandled. She used to love loud enough for the both of you. Now she's loving herself quietly. And you finally understand what her voice meant when it's no longer there. Now you miss her loud, but she's silent. The irony cuts deep, doesn't it? When she used to love you, she didn't do it halfway. She didn't hold back. She didn't ration her affection. She didn't love you in whispers. She loved you in echoes, in hurricanes, in all the ways you didn't even know you needed to be loved. She filled the silence of your days with laughter, flooded the cold parts of your soul with her warmth, and carried your burdens like they were her own. Laughing? Don't you know She was your safe place, your biggest fan, your loudest heartbeat. And now she's just quiet. You used to think her voice was too much, her presence too strong, her emotions too intense. You thought love was supposed to be calm, easy, undemanding. So when she gave you her fire, you responded with ice. When she checked in, you shrugged her off. When she showed up for you over and over, you assumed she always would. You sat in a wake. I feel your pain, Jem. You showed a little shock. You seemed so vulnerable. You were so foul. You so broken. You confused her loyalty for something eternal. But even the loudest hearts have limits. Now you sit alone, scrolling through old photos, hearing her laughter in memories that used to annoy you in real life. You find yourself typing long messages, only to delete them because you know she's not reading anymore. She's not waiting anymore. She's not checking her phone for your name. And that realization hits like thunder in a room that's never been this quiet. You miss her loud now, don't you? You miss her random check-ins. You miss the way she lit up when she saw you like you were the best part of her day. You miss the late night, just wanted to hear your voice calls. The way she fought for you when you wouldn't even fight for yourself. You miss her showing up again and again with a kind of love you didn't think you needed until it was gone. Now you replay the arguments in your head, the moments you told her she was too emotional, the nights you left her messages unread because you were tired, the times she asked for 5 minutes of your time and you gave her 5 seconds of attitude. And now you're begging the silence to speak. But silence is a decision. It's not just the absence of words. It's the presence of boundaries. And she finally built some. Let me tell you this. When a woman goes silent, it's not because she's over you. It's the absence of boundaries. And she finally built some. Let me tell you this. When a woman goes silent, it's not because she's over you. It's the absence of boundaries. And she finally built some. Let me tell you this. When a woman goes silent, it's not because she's over you. It's because she's finally choosing her. She's tired of performing emotional CPR on a relationship where only one heart was beating. She's tired of yelling, "I love you" into an emotional black hole. She's tired of loving someone who made her feel invisible. Silence is her healing, her protection, her closure. Because closure never came from your words. It came from her own realization that she deserves better than one-sided effort. You used to tell yourself she's not going anywhere, but now you realize she already has. emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She's no longer checking your page to see if you're thinking of her. She's no longer posting stories hoping you'll notice. She's not throwing hints or sending emotional lifelines. No more paragraphs. No more voice notes. No more pleading eyes. She's just still. And in that stillness, you feel everything you ignored. You see, the silence you're drowning in now, it's the same silence she begged you to notice before she slipped away. You couldn't hear her pain when it was loud. Now, you're begging her peace to make noise again. But she's not coming back to prove her love. She already did that. Again and again. The stage is empty. The show is over. And now you're left with the echo of a voice that once screamed, "I love you," into someone who only whispered back. The cost of ignoring a loud lover is eternal silence. You don't realize it at first. You think you're just buying time. You think she'll always be there, always waiting, always forgiving. You convince yourself that her emotional messages can be replied to later, that her vulnerability can be dismissed as drama, that her love will somehow survive your coldness. But love isn't a light switch. You can't turn it off and on as you please. You can't silence her today and expect her to sing tomorrow. A loud lover doesn't stay loud forever. Eventually, even the most vibrant heart learns the language of silence. She loved you with everything, not halfway, not in pieces. She loved you loudly. She showed it in the way she remembered the little things, in how she celebrated your wins louder than you ever did, in how she stood by you when others faded, in how she defended you when you weren't even defending her. Her love wasn't hidden. It was public, proud, persistent. But every time you ignored her efforts, you were teaching her something. Not that she loved too much, but that she loved the wrong person too loudly. Imagine a woman who texts you paragraphs when you go silent. Not because she's needy, but because she cares. Yeah. And then you text her and things go silent. Not because she's needy, but because she cares. See, imagine a woman who texts you when you are going out. Not because she's gay, but because she can't. And imagine her calling you at 3 a.m. Not to fight, but to make sure you're okay. Imagine her planning your birthday 3 months in advance, just to see you smile. And you couldn't even text back, "I'm thinking of you too." You thought she'd never leave. But what you didn't realize was every ignored message, every delayed response, every quiet dismissal was a slow erosion of her spirit. You thought you had her on lock. You thought your emotional distance gave you power. You thought she'd always be one apology away. But a loud lover, when ignored long enough, doesn't just walk away. She shuts down. She stops explaining. She stops texting. She stops reminding. She stops fighting. And that silence, it's not peace. It's heartbreak that's turned into self-protection. She used to pour her heart out to you like a river with no dam. You cannot even say the word aha. And now you think she's okay. You have no banner with her name. And then she laughs, and then she laughs, and then she thinks like an idiot. You think she's okay? And then but now, the dam is built. The water doesn't flow anymore. She's learned to hold her love back. Not because she stopped feeling, but because you taught her that feeling too deeply was dangerous, that her vulnerability was a liability, that her loudness was a burden. You didn't break her all at once. You broke her piece by piece, by not showing up when it mattered. And now, you sit in the aftermath, trying to fill the void with distractions, listening to old voice notes, rewatching her stories just to feel something. You scroll through pictures of her laughing, wondering why you didn't value the sound of her joy when it echoed in your life. You reach for her now, but all you touch is silence. And that silence is eternal. Because once a loud lover learns to be quiet, she doesn't return with noise. She returns with boundaries, with lessons, with scars that taught her to save her love for someone who hears her before she screams. You see, people think silence is the absence of love. But sometimes, silence is the proof of how much love once existed. A loud lover doesn't go quiet unless she's been screaming into emptiness for far too long. And when she finally learns to be silent, not because she has nothing to say, but because she's done trying to be heard, that silence becomes sacred, untouchable, unshakable. It becomes her power. And your punishment. You put a season on a heat of the moment, and it becomes her power. And your punishment. And now you sit in the silence you created, the silence you thought meant nothing. But now it's deafening. It haunts your mornings, echoes in your nights, and lives in the empty spaces where her laughter used to be. You never realized how loud her love was until it disappeared. You never realized her voice was your peace until it stopped calling. You never realized her presence was your home until you turned it into a house without warmth. Until you turned it into a house without warmth. You thought ignoring her was control, that being distant made you strong, that replying late was power. But real power is not in withholding love, it's in giving it fearlessly. And she gave you that power. Over and over again. She loved you in ways you didn't even love yourself. She chose you when you were unworthy. She poured into you when you were empty. She stood beside you while you figured out who you were. But the moment she needed you to choose her, you chose pride. You wasted your power. Your parents were dead. Your family was in prison. Your eating habits were horrible. She taught us you to serve. Your family was empty. She taught us you to serve. Your family was in prison. Your eating habits were horrible. You chose ego. You chose silence. And now, she's not mad. She's not hurt. She's not waiting. She's free. The girl who once flooded your life with affection now floods the world with her glow, and it doesn't include you anymore. You taught her how to love herself when you forgot how to love her. You became her greatest lesson. And now, you're the memory she thanks. Not for staying, but for leaving her no choice but to rise. Because there comes a moment in every woman's life when her silence becomes her sword. And she realizes, I wasn't too much. I was just too much for the wrong man. She learns that her loud love wasn't weakness. It was her superpower. That giving, nurturing, showing up, staying, hoping, those weren't flaws. They were gifts. And now she gives them to someone who knows how to handle them with care. You didn't lose her because she stopped loving you. You lost her because you never loved her loud enough in return. You lost her because you thought she'd always come back. You gambled with her heart like it was replaceable. But let me tell you something. A woman who loves loudly is a once-in-a-lifetime event. You don't find her again. You remember her. You don't text her anymore. You write notes you'll never send. You don't hold her hand. You hold her ghost in your regrets. So while you're out there trying to find pieces of her in other people, she's building an empire from the pieces you left behind. She's not looking back. She's walking with purpose. Because when a woman stops needing your love and starts feeding her own soul, she becomes unstoppable. Don't mistake her silence for emptiness. It's evolution. Don't mistake her calm for absence. It's her finally choosing peace over performance. And don't mistake your loneliness as bad luck. It's the result of your decisions. Because in the end, it's not about who loved first. It's about who loved real. And she did. Loudly, boldly, unapologetically, until she had nothing left to give but her absence. And that, my friend, is your forever reminder. As Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And when someone loves you the way she did, hear her the first time. Respond, reciprocate, reassure. Because when love goes silent, it doesn't mean it's gone. It means you're too late. So if you're blessed enough to meet another loud lover, don't waste her volume trying to be quiet. Say what needs to be said. Love while you have the chance. And remember, don't wait until it's too late to realize. The loudest silence comes from the heart that once beat only for you.